Lock and Load podcast is sponsored by Lock and Load Firearms, Connecticut's #1 rated gun store and pistol permit class on Google. Come check us out, 1573 Meriden Waterbury Turnpike in Southington. Lock and Load Firearms.
Lock and Load podcast is also sponsored by Patriot Wear Holsters, custom-made Kydex holsters locally made in Waterbury, Connecticut. www.patriotwearholster.com and use code LNL podcast for 10% off your purchase. Orders available for shipping or pickup at various locations.
Welcome to Lock and Load podcast. My name is Josh.
And I'm Michelle.
And we are here to talk to you about Connecticut 2A issues. So today's general topic is Thursday, about a week ago. The ATF and SLFU had a seminar at the Connecticut State Police Training Center in Middletown? Meriden.
Yeah.
Michelle and I both attended. That Thursday was pretty, it was a good amount of people that showed up.
They actually said they were impressed with the amount. So, yeah.
They did do one the week before as well at a different time frame. I think it was an afternoon one. Ours was a morning one. But we learned some things from the state. So we're going to talk about the 414Cs first, which is the application for the assault weapon certificate for your Connecticut others or lowers prior to, what was it, May 1st? I believe the cutoff date was, right?
Yes.
So Bree was there. She's the detective in charge of the SLFU. Sergeant Bree. Oh, shit. I said, not detective. She's sergeant. Sergeant in charge of the SLFU. I was sergeant. And she gave us some numbers. And she said that, so online application. So if you submitted your 414C via the portal that was available, there were 46,000 submissions. And then there were an additional 22,000 mailed in submissions.
Now, that doesn't mean
people.
It means like
physical separate forms.
If you put in for 5 different firearms, that's 5 of those.
Yep. So we don't really know the amount of people. I don't think that's been disclosed. There's some estimates out there. But that's, what is that? 68,000 others, lowers, whatever,
or pre-bans,
or pre-bans, yep, that have been registered or pending registration. So she did say that mail-in applications are going to be processed first, and the reason for that was when you submitted your paperwork electronically, once you submitted everything properly, it gave you a temporary approval number, or I think it was approval number.
We don't see that like as civilians on our side, but the computer system did that, and SLFU sees that number.
Well, if you could get back into the portal, I believe it was there at some point.
It was a pending number.
Yeah, it was a pending number.
I don't know if the approval is.
Well, that was the temporary one.
Okay.
But the people who mailed it in obviously don't have that, right? They sent in a piece of paper in an envelope with a stamp. Hopefully they provided tracking, but whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't have that. So it seems like they're going to be working on the paper ones first, and there's no deadline for them to approve these things. There's no speed for them to approve these things.
No, I do know that they have gone through any of the problem ones that were not completed. Like, some people didn't have their thumbprints on them. Some people didn't fill out the bottom portion. So stuff like that was already gone through, and people have been they've been contacted and have it reset.
And then they had a year to resubmit it.
That's
what CCDL said at the meeting.
And then they also, anybody who sent it in after the deadline has also been contacted and told them that those are null and void. So the problem certificates that we sent in are at least notified and taken care of to a point where, they've been satisfied as the state has gone through it. So if you've been notified of your problem, then you know it. If you haven't been notified, that means that there should not be a problem with your certificate. It's just waiting for the actual approval to happen, if that makes any sense.
So AFFL in this meeting did ask, can you make something more assaulty? And assaulty seems to be the new catchphrase of things. I've been using it for a while.
You just
Yeah. And You can't. Once it's an assault weapon, it's an assault weapon. So what we've been saying for a while now, I think since like episode 6 or 7, when we showed that chart, once you get the official and arguably that pending number, but at least the official approval, an assault weapon's an assault weapon. You can make that into, depending on how it was sold to you, you can make that into a pistol, AR pistol. You can make that into a rifle. You want to tax stamp it and pay the ATF? You can make it into an SBR, depending on how it was sold to you. You have those options if it was just sold to you as a receiver. And if you don't know how it was sold to you, your DPS3 form, all of them are going to be checked off as others, because other is also a category. But it's going to be that general description and barrel length, which are the two important things. If it is written as the word receiver and not pistol grip firearm, and there's no barrel length written there, it's not applicable or 0, however the dealer did it, then you have a lower receiver, which you can build into anything federally compliant. Now, if you have questions on that, you can go back to, I think it's like episode 7. You can also come in and ask us. We've been asking these questions.
And the chart is, if you look through, it is on the podcast.
Yeah.
Put it in the link.
The description. No, but it's in the description of that video.
Okay.
It was in the link tree for a little bit, but it was a while ago.
Okay.
The other most common question I get in the store is, I just found out about the assault weapon registration. I have 2 others or 3 pre-bans. What do I do? I'm not an attorney. And here are your options. Here are your legal options. Destroy it or render it inoperable. Turn it into the ATF or your local PD.
If you destroy,
or get it out of state.
If you destroy it, you still have to turn it in, I believe.
Yeah.
Because they have to have proof that it was destroyed.
Yep. Or get it out of state. Those are your 3 options. That's it. Now, I think there's arguments with the fixed magazine aspect, but then there's arguments that say that's bad.
You cannot turn in to a FFL anything that has not had an assault weapon certificate on it. So if you had bought a lower and you did not do your assault weapon certificate, and now you've decided you want to get rid of it, you want to bring it to a gun store to sell it, this gun store cannot purchase it. Because that's
considered contraband.
Correct. That is contraband at this point in time, and the gun stores cannot have it. It's the same as we cannot, as an FFL, we can't take in any firearms with high cap mags unless you have a high cap mag certificate. So there is that.
Now,
there's
caveat with that, which was talked about too, is a lower is a lower, right? Receivers are not illegal. You can still purchase them. We still sell them for fixed magazines, right? Or if you can come up with some other compliant aspect. So if you go and you want to sell this, you go and sell the lower to a gun store. There's no way for really anyone to know that it wasn't just a lower.
And DP3, it's how it's registered.
Yeah, but we don't check the DP3.
Correct.
Right?
We don't know that.
We have no way of knowing that.
Correct.
And that was talked about in the seminar too.
Right.
There's times I stepped out. There's times Michele stepped out. So I think we're filling each other in a little bit there. Now, is that something you should do? I don't know. If you have a cabin up in New Hampshire, bring it up to New Hampshire. You want to build something or buy something that's Connecticut compliant, then go and do that. It's not worth the potential felony aspect for that. So follow the law. And if you have questions on that, give us a call, stop down, shoot us a message. We'll try to answer them, or contact an attorney, like Greg Miller.
Mm-hmm. There's consequences to having it. So like we've talked about before with registrations and everything else, it's on you as an individual. This is the law, XYZ. It's on you to make the decision on what you want to do with it and how you're going to do it. Understand if you don't follow the law, there are caveats and legal consequences for such if you get caught.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where it comes down to is, the whole, we've said it over, the whole, well, I didn't know I had to register. I didn't know I couldn't have that. I didn't know. That's not your excuse. So
No.
You just have to know the law and know whether or not you're going to pay the consequence, or if you're going to follow the law. That's what you have to know.
I do think it was kind of crappy that the state in general, not blaming the SLFU because they do enough stuff, but I think it was crappy that they didn't send out like a written memo to pistol permit holders for this. You have all of our addresses.
Well, it's the same with the mag. That small
That
window
too.
of mag
Yep.
registrations. I'm pretty up to date on a lot of this stuff. I didn't know you could do it until the day before.
Yep.
It ended. And I was like, wait, what?
So like you have all of our addresses, you have our contact information, and you don't do anything with it. I understand it costs money to go and print those and mail them out and everything, but you do that for the renewals, right? Like this is a cost of doing your permits. You should let the average person know, not because not everyone stops in a gun store every week or every other week or every month, right? Maybe it's every couple months or every year, right? So people don't hear about these things, and if you don't use social media that much, you don't follow your local gun store, you don't follow Lock and Load podcast or Patriot Holsters or Lock and Load Firearms,
yeah,
or any of our friends that have been on here, like then you don't know about these things. And if you don't go down to a range or something or to a gun club that often, they might not even know about it. Especially like I don't know, I won't say tinier gun clubs, but like, unless they're shooting those scary black rifles, they don't care.
correct.
Right.
But on that note, I will say it's a double-edged sword, or maybe not a double-edged sword. Maybe that's not what I want to say, but it is, as a gun owner, it is also our responsibilities to follow the law. So do I think SLFU should have been funded better to allow these things and make the notification known to people? Absolutely. But on the other hand, it's also our job as gun owners in Connecticut, knowing that they screw with our laws on a regular basis, to at least pay attention during legislative session to see what's coming out, and then pay attention right as the legislative session ends, because that's when all that information comes
out. A lot
up.
of people don't. They either don't care, they're not informed, or they don't have the time to stay informed.
I get that. I'm just saying it's not just the state's fault. It would be easier and nicer, and that's what a lot of people expect.
It's your fault. It's you guys who vote for these people or don't vote for these people.
Don't vote.
They're the ones that are making these laws. So, you know what? If I really want to throw blame, it's on the people who don't vote or vote for idiots. That's who to blame. Your neighbor, maybe yourself. I don't know. I know I vote, and I know who I vote for. And they're pro 2A. So
that's my number one. I'm a one issue voter. It's 2A.
This whole area where we are right now. So you have State Senator Rob Sampson. You have Gail Manifico. Yeah. Okay. I'm always bad with her last name. You have Donna Veach. And I think I can't remember who the Plainville guy is. So around here is pretty decent. Then unfortunately we have Chris Poulos, who has an anti-2A rating from CCDL that did come out. Yeah.
Gotta get him out.
Yep. He's the one who won by one vote, guys.
He's got somebody running against him, right?
Yeah, he's oh my God, isn't he? Jim Morelli.
Okay.
Running against him, who's on town council. We will see how that ends up. But going back to the seminar. So on top of the SLFU, the general seminar we started out with the ATF, and what's her position? Who's in charge?
Susan Furtado, and she is in charge of the whole New Haven ATF.
I thought it was Hartford.
Yes.
Hartford branch.
It is Hartford branch. Yes. Sorry, my bad.
Hartford branch of the ATF. Nice lady. I talked to her for a little bit during one of my bathroom breaks.
She's very nice.
Yep. There were IOIs there. So those are the guys that come in and do the audits. 2 new trainees, and then some of established people that have been there. They gave a presentation basically on how to fill out 4473s correctly. Bound book, that kind of stuff that ATF or that the dealers have to deal with.
It's our responsibilities on that side. And like with the 4473, I know some people get very upset when the store will not give them the answers to the 4473 and help them.
Can't.
It was reiterated strongly at this seminar. That is, we are not allowed. So when a store tells you, I can't give you that answer, please be a little considerate. They're trying to protect their license also.
Yeah. So there was interpretation questions. I thought that was interesting too.
Mhm.
I took a picture of that slide. So some pretty useful information. I've had the store now for over 4 years, and we've never had one of these before.
They never,
Um,
well, you got to understand, COVID put everything on a halt,
yeah,
completely. I know prior to COVID, they used to do this once in a while. Um, I think they're getting a little more proactive with trying to help the FFLs.
I truly think they should offer this at least once a year.
Well, they
I'd
said
like to
they
see.
were going to. They liked the response that came in,
Yeah,
and they said they were going to start doing it. And I think it is good, even for those that have a really good grasp on everything. There's always some kind of takeaway.
I wrote down 3 specific notes that I was like, oh, I could improve this by doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And that was at the ATF stuff, and then the SLFU learning, talking to them. And it was good, right? I thought it was really useful. I was surprised it did go 3 hours, but like it did. A lot of questions from people. Some questions, a lot of home-based FFLs out there that came to that, which is good for them. There were a lot of questions that we knew the answers to off the rip because we do a lot of the paperwork all the time. But I think it was a good general seminar. And then the SLFU started talking. And we had I don't know what he was, the bald guy.
Greg?
That from the state. He's the gun trafficking. Yeah.
Gun trafficking, yeah.
So he came in talking about protecting FFLs a little bit better, reporting suspicious people, that kind of stuff. And then Bree did a lot of the talking for the state stuff. We went over the dealer portal where you run your background checks. That's getting an update. That update they showed us is not live.
No.
I was under the impression it was, though.
No, she said it wasn't yet.
So that looks a little more promising. It looks a little bit easier to use, which is nice. And then answered a lot of questions.
Well, and I do suggest everyone out there open up their own portal to SLFU. So you can do that by going to I just Google SLFU CT or Middletown, and it comes up. Josh seems like he's looking for it because he's very handy.
Mm-hmm.
But on that, you just
portal.ct.gov/DESPP.
Oh, you got direct line. Okay.
Yep. And then when you're on there, you scroll down, find special licensing and firearms, and that has all of your information. That is also how you update your address. They did seem to be a little picky on that, I noticed. And it is Connecticut law that you're required to update your address within 2 business days of you moving.
Correct. Otherwise, it's a felony.
Correct. So really easy to update your address. There's the online system. Actually, somebody yesterday was doing a person-to-person transfer. I was like, is that your address? She's like, oh, it's the one in the back of my ID. I'm like, did you update your permit? She's like, no. I'm like, go do that right now. She pulled up her phone, went on, made an account, took her 3 minutes, right?
Well, and that's why I said if everybody does it, it's super easy. You also can renew your permit that way.
Only if you're beginning that 90 days.
Correct.
So once you hit that expiration date and you have that 90-day grace period, it has to be done by mail. But prior to, so 90 days prior to your expiration, you can renew it online.
Yes. It'll make it a little bit easier. Right now, like during the assault weapon registration period, you were able to go in and it would show you a whole list of all your firearms and stuff. Now it does not, but it still allows you to change your address. It still allows you, which, like Josh says, is helpful when you're trying to buy something versus us having to tell you, I'm sorry, you've got to change your address and then come back. So that, everything all matches, matchy. But it is a helpful thing to have. And from what I understand, at some point in time, they will be opening it up where you can then see your firearms again. But I don't know when, because you just never know when.
No, just depends on if it's broken or not.
Yeah.
So, that's what a lot of us did last Thursday, or the Wednesday before that, I think it was, or Tuesday or something.
Thursday. Was
it a Thursday and a Thursday? Could have been.
Oh, I don't know what the first one.
I think it was. So again, I think it was pretty good. I think it was helpful. And then the little update on the 414Cs were definitely, useful, getting people some answers. If you guys have questions on that, again, please send us messages, comment on wherever you're watching this, and we can help get some answers for you. I did do a survey on Facebook, about a week ago? And I'm assuming that all of these people had electronic submissions, because we put out, has anyone received their assault weapon certificate back? And the answer was no, with 50 votes. So 50 plus people, at least, nobody has gotten their assault weapon certificate officially back from the state.
Well, what people have to understand is there's one person up there doing it during business hours. Okay. That's her job. She's done it since 2013. She knows now that stuff. That's what she does, is assault weapons. And then they're allowing select people to do it as overtime. So this isn't, and it sounds like, well, we had a deadline, and apparently they don't have a deadline. They don't have to get the information back to us. You have to understand, legislators make laws. Legislators do not necessarily make a way to facilitate these laws to fall into place. So they put all of these things, especially with the bill that passed with this. There were a lot of things SLFU had to put into place. They didn't get more funding. They didn't get more people. They were actually low people. So they've added, to get themselves up, but they're still, I believe, short a few people. And in that department is not necessarily just firearms. They do guard cards. They do the explosives. So when people have fireworks shows and they have to get their permits, that kind of stuff, they do a lot of things in that department. So you have to understand it. I know we're all frustrated. Trust me, I am too. I haven't gotten mine back. Josh hasn't gotten his back. We thought putting them in electronically would make sense because boom, boom, it's right there. No, not so much. However, it did make sure they did receive it, which is a good thing. They can't say they lost it. But just have a little patience, because as of right now, as long as you put in your assault weapons certificate and you did your whole registration, you can't necessarily change it to more assaulty, but you are still good. Because what they'll do is, at the end of the day, when they say, okay, we've finished all of our assault weapons and we are done, everybody has their approvals that we approved and that we're going to approve on such and such date. This is now a complete done deal. Then anybody who's still outstanding may have a problem. But as long as you're pending, you're good to go. If a cop pulls you over because you take your other to the range, and the officer says, sir, is that gun registered? I have a pending assault weapon, certificate in. He can't ask you any more questions. If a range officer at the range says, well, I don't know, you don't have your assault weapons, certificate on you, I don't.
Then roast them online because it's none of their business.
Absolutely. As far as SLF has put out there, as long as you can say, I have a pending one in, they can ask you no more questions as of right now.
I can think of the range that would ask that question, and oh my God.
That's why I put it out with range officers, because a lot of them think that they need to ask these questions.
A lot of them think they're police officers. And let me tell you, you're not.
It's the same with high cap mags or anything else. It's, well, is that legal? I'm sorry. Am I shooting properly? Go away.
Yeah.
Leave me alone. This is none of your business.
Unless I'm compromising my safety or somebody else's safety, then leave me alone.
Yep. So I just wanted to throw that out to everybody so that they understand that aspect of it too. Don't be like, oh my God, I don't have, it's still pending. I don't know if I'm legal or not. You're legal.
Yeah, you're good. You can bring it to the range.
Good. You just can't change the configuration as far as I know.
Make sure you lube up that bolt carrier.
Please. All right. That's all I got.
All right. So, well, that was it. That's all I got for this episode.
Yeah, we're all done.
Okay, we're done. So we'll see you guys next time. My name's Josh.
And I'm Michele.
See you later.